there's a place on the internet called unixporn. It's a subreddit that asks you to show the world how sexy a computer can be. For the last decade, it was a huge source of inspiration to me, and I think other Linux enthusiasts feel the same. Among all Linux subreddits, this one is quite unique, because here users define themselves by what they really like, not by what they hate or what they want to be hated. And this is really important. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me clarify this in a few short sentences. unixporn is a place where people upload images of their highly customized desktops. Most of them had installed Linux, since Linux provides you with a complete control over your system and therefore allows you to finely tune user experience. unixporn is not about one particular thing, like wallpaper, color scheme, set of panels, or a certain window manager. It is more about sharing your workspace as a whole. For some people, it is a great way to express themselves. For some people, it is the community, which they are proud to be part of. And for some people, including myself, it is a great place to learn something new. It is exciting for me to scroll unixporn, because when I see new desktop configurations, I can get an insight into how other Linux enthusiasts use their computers. I can learn all the lessons they learned before to put them in my own setup, whether it's fancy color scheme, optimized workflow, or even new window manager that I've never heard about. It is common to think of unixporn as some sort of a mirror that shows which window manager or DE is trending right now. Well, this statement isn't completely false, but it is quite inaccurate. All submissions follow a strict set of rules that shape the direction of the subreddit. It is prohibited there to post default setups, and changing only a GTK theme to something pre-made counts as a default. The karma system of Reddit incentivizes people to post something extraordinary. The more difficult it is for you to set up an obscure window manager, the higher the chances that your rise will become one of the top-rated posts of all time. And the higher the threshold, the more sophisticated setups we are going to see. To prove that, I made this. It is a spreadsheet that contains top-rated posts from this subreddit. I carefully excluded all photos, hardware posts and memes, and then got a top 100 rises of all time. The thing is, 70% of them are window managers, and only 30 are popular DEs. In fact, Awesome Window Manager is more than twice as prevalent than KDE. i3 appears 14 times, just like GNOME and XFCE combined. Well, that's just by the by. And this is why I don't think that unixporn reflects what is really going on in the realm of Linux. If you ask me which desktop environment is the most popular one, I'll have to make an assumption based on different sources. I'll go to Steam Hardware Survey to find out which distros are popular now among Linux gamers, so it'll lead me to a DE that comes as a default option. And if a certain distro comes in different flavors, I would have to visit their social media page in order to find out which version became the most downloaded. But at the end of this process, I would probably come up with something that'll be described as beginner-friendly, and it's definitely not going to be limited to a window manager. What I'm saying is that things like i3, Awesome, Qtile and OpenBox are targeted at advanced users. The whole community gravitates towards something bizarre in a good sense. So as I said, incentives are doing their job, and this is what makes unixporn to be such a great place for those who seek an inspiration. For some people, it is a revelation that you can do whatever you want with your personal computer. You have freedom not just to pick an application from the App Store, but to actually change your everyday workflow, making your setup not only appealing to your eyes, but also efficient in terms of productivity. And nowadays, thanks to devs and unixporn community, you don't have to spend hundreds of hours trying to make a decent looking desktop. Some mainstream DE became quite user-friendly like years ago. It has never been so easy to change a theme on GNOME and to raise your KDE. And while tiling window managers continues to be a toy for more advanced enthusiasts, you can easily replicate what you see on unixporn, since dot files are available to public. The process of trying something new became so easy that the only flaw that spoils it to me is the fact that you have to change a distro in order to make a clean looking setup. Yeah, I know that you can install any desktop environment without having a need of installing a new distro, but doing so will make a mess in terms of default apps, theming and some other system settings. So for me, the best way to try a fancy window manager or to take a first look at new release of beloved desktop environment is a virtual machine. And I feel like I'm not alone. Another subreddit, Find Me a Distro, is full of people searching for the Linux distribution that is built around certain DE. So the common approach here is not to install any DE on any distro, but to install specific distro that suits specific DE. It seems that Linux people actually treat desktop environments not just as graphical interface, but as a collection of applications that were carefully tailored together in order to bring you the best experience possible. unixporn is a great place to get in love with Linux, to appreciate its customizability and to learn something new. And last but not least, I really appreciate the fact that the community of unixporn isn't focused on downsides of other operating systems. I mean, sometimes we spend too much time talking about how bad Windows is, and while there's nothing wrong with criticizing Microsoft, I really like that the community of unixporn is able to stand out and shine without a single word thrown against Linux competitors. We believe that Linux is a good option not because Windows is bad, but because we value our freedom. Freedom to customize our workflow, freedom to change everything we want to be changed. And of course, freedom to express ourselves. This was Reluctant Anarchist, and I have nothing left to say.